Hello and welcome to the Gorilla Guide Webisode. Today's topic, a data protection and disaster recovery primer. Before I introduce you to today's first expert presenter, I want to talk just briefly for a moment about data protection in 2021 and beyond. According to a statistic by Phoenix Snap, 33% of companies without disaster recovery who suffer a major data disaster are out of business within 1 year. That's a huge number, 93%. In other words, if you don't have a DR plan, and by chance you get hit with a disaster, it's very likely you're going to be out of business. And the odds, unfortunately, of getting hit with a disaster are relatively high, especially with ransomware attacks on the rise. Another statistic is that 96% of companies with a trusted backup and disaster recovery plan were able to survive a ransomware attack. I think those statistics are just really telling. If you don't have a DR plan, you're going to go out of business. If you do have a DR plan, you're going to stay in business, even if you're hit with a ransomware attack. And by the way, it's estimated that the cost of unplanned downtime is $17,000 per minute. Of course, that varies greatly based on the type of company that you have, but there's always the unknown cost, really, the reputation cost for the long term. I mean, if your customers can't access your company's website or do business with you for a day or a couple of days, odds are they're going to take their business elsewhere. And it might be hard to estimate the exact cost of that because you'll feel the impact for the long term. It's going to be hard to get those customers back. So yes, that is $25 million per day. And of course, again, it varies based on the company. Needless to say, the cost is high. So the key factors, of course, are planning and preparing for disaster. And really, ultimately, it's all about the recovery and continued normal operations. Backing up is one thing, but recovery is even more important, in my opinion. The key metrics are RTO and RPO, recovery time objective. So the time it takes to get your company's applications back up and running. In other words, how long are you willing to be down for if there is a disaster? And then RPO, which is recovery point objective, which could also be said, how much data are you willing to lose? At what point are we going to recover back to? Some new considerations in 2021 and beyond, of course, are new DR solutions. There's new changes, there's new innovations, which means thanks to automation, you can have a shorter RTO and improved RPO. You can swap physical sites for virtual ones, the cloud, upon failover to make DR easier and more affordable. And then many solutions offer full-blown disaster coverage, plus regular testing, plus audit support, and more. So there's a lot of full functionality out of the solutions that I'm seeing in the market today than ever before. And of course, always keep in mind the DR lifecycle. It's really kind of like the security wheel where it's not something that ever ends. You plan, you enact, you see if it works, you test, hopefully you don't have a real disaster, but you test it, then you analyze the results, and odds are you're never going to get it perfect. And then you remediate that, you make changes, you retest, you replan, and then the cycle continues on again. So the DR lifecycle really never ends. As long as you have a company, as long as you have applications and data, just like improving your security posture, you should always be planning, testing, and improving your disaster recovery stance as well. I hope you'll keep these things in mind as you listen to today's expert presentations. And with that, it's time to kick it off. Welcome, Mr. William Bell, Executive Vice President of Products at Phoenix Snap. William, it's great to have you on the event. Take it away.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to ActualTech Media Gorilla Guide Webisode, a data protection and disaster recovery primer. My name is William Bell, Executive Vice President of Products, and today we're going to discuss the why, what, and how of disaster recovery and data protection. So, a little bit about Phoenix Snap. For those of you that are not familiar with us, we were founded in 2009, and we started as a data center facility in Phoenix, Arizona, but quickly realized that we could help customers with so much more than that. Over the last 10 years, we've built an array of infrastructure as a service products, and we've delivered those to locations around the globe. One of which is most certainly close to you. We've got 16 actual active data centers. 10 of those are network POPs. We're delivering services in 6 major regions worldwide. And today we're going to talk a lot about disaster recovery and how that plans and plays into our strategy around global delivery of infrastructure services. So why talk about any of this, right? I think it's important to understand that downtime can happen to anyone at any time. And when we're working with our partners and talking about what it means to businesses that suffer from a major outage, we found that 93% of those businesses are out of business within 1 year of a major disaster. Now, that is certainly skewed by small businesses, but it can suffer major ramifications for large companies as well. I think that a lot of small businesses think if I don't have a lot to lose in a major outage, the reality of that couldn't be further from the truth. And truly, this is happening to pretty much everyone. 50% of companies experience a downtime event longer than a full workday in the last 5 years. So if it hasn't happened in some capacity, some type of either in mechanical, environmental, or technological outage, it can happen to you and likely will happen to you. And so it's important that you take time to discuss options internally for how you can address some of these challenges. I think that it's important to remember that if you have a great disaster recovery and data protection strategy, you can overcome some of these issues. And 96% of businesses that have implemented these capabilities are able to survive major, potentially company damaging issues and outages like ransomware and just general failure of IT services and ability to deliver. So why should you do this? You want to help prevent downtime for your business. Everybody works in a technological environment today. Even if you sell shoes, you probably sell shoes online, right? And it's important that you have a way to protect your business from some type of disaster. From a technology perspective, anything can happen. You can get power outages, you can suffer technology failures, network switch, server. People make mistakes and cause issues. Natural disasters happen, and increasingly cyber attacks are starting to become a major category in the reasons that downtime happens. And so if you are looking to address some of those issues and you want to really try to improve your availability and protect your business, you can implement disaster recovery and data protection strategies to help you prevent ransomware, malware, accidental human error, deletion of data, technological failures, hard drive, software, whatever it is. A small focused implementation of DR and business continuity backups can protect you from these issues. So what does that look like? From a disaster recovery perspective, it provides you with a full replication of your primary environment. Typically, recovery point objectives and recovery time objectives are measured in minutes and seconds for a solution like this. And it really is for those businesses that require near 100% uptime. If you feel like even an hour or 2 hours is going to be damaging to your business in a material way, you really should look at actual orchestrated disaster recovery and failover capabilities. Today we can get most businesses to very near real-time replication, and it's empowering a lot of companies to focus on their business and what they do, and not on some type of major issue that might occur. On top of that, it's important from a data protection perspective that you have good, solid backups of your data, and you're storing one of those backup copies off-site. This can help you with a disaster recovery, rescue, but it is going to be hours, possibly even days, to get back up and rolling. But if your business can tolerate that, an offsite backup is a great solution. But generally, you need backups for all kinds of things. So if you haven't taken a look at your data protection and backup strategies, I stress that either do that yourself or reach out to us and talk to us about getting an assessment of your environment, and we'll be happy to help you with that. So when you're looking at disaster recovery, you want to set clear DR objectives, exactly what it means to your business to be offline. You got to find the right technology, whether it's an active replication or some type of offsite copy of a backup. You got to identify internally exactly who's responsible with implementing fixes associated with some type of outage, and you have to test your implementation. If you don't test it, you have no assurance that it's actually going to be there when you need it. So that's one of the biggest things that I just can't stress it enough. You have to test your backup and DR strategy, or it probably won't work when you need to use it. So how are we doing this with businesses today? We've partnered with the leader in data protection, multi-cloud availability, Veeam software, and we've built an array of solutions that customers can use to protect their critical environments. All kinds of different implementation approaches that really result in very clear and concise data protection strategies for businesses. And we're implementing, these capabilities for customers so that they can protect their business from one of the disasters that we talked about. And it's as simple as picking up the phone and calling us and talking about how we can protect your business starting right now. We're giving you lightning fast restores of your data, a ton of different capabilities around the hypervisor you choose or cloud service you choose. And we're working together to drive these great solutions with Veeam software. So you put those things together and you get pay as you go, only for what you use, a support team there 24/7 to help you with your business implementation and recovery. Very, very quick recovery for those that are choosing a more active replication implementation, and availability across the globe so that you can choose the location that makes sense for protecting your business. You don't want to put something in the same city as you run your primary business, right? You want to find something at least, 250, 500 miles away, just to give you that geo redundancy in case of some type of major issue. And we've seen stuff, mostly power related, that have affected large swaths of parts of the United States and Europe. So this is kind of the eye chart of all the things that we've got, but it's going to help me summarize. We've implemented Veeam solutions to protect the small and commercial businesses of the world. And we are building that technology into all of our products and services. Our world-class data security cloud that helps you get secure and compliant hosting of your infrastructure, VMs ready to go, offsite data protection with Veeam Cloud Connect, near real-time replication with our Veeam-based DR capabilities, and most recently, a managed Office 365 backup capability that's protecting your online data, email, SharePoint, Teams, etc., OneDrive, and bringing that out of the cloud and into a place that can be kept secure and encrypted and away from a major cloud outage, just in case you need to access it. So if any of this makes sense for you and your business, don't hesitate to reach out and get in touch. Our contact information is here. My contact information is on this as well. I want to thank everyone for spending a few minutes with me on this Gorilla Guide webisode. My name is William Bell, Executive Vice President of Products at Phoenix Nap, and I hope everyone has a safe and happy week. Thank you so much.
Great presentation, William. Thank you so much for being on the event. I look forward to having you back for our Q&A session that's coming up here. So hang in there and we'll have you right back. I just brought up the poll question for everyone out there in the audience. The question on the screen says, what additional information would you like about the Phoenix NAP solution? And I'll leave that up there for a few moments, allow everyone to answer that. If you haven't done this before, you just answer right there in the slides window. Select the option that corresponds to you. It's a multi-select, so feel free to select more than one. If you don't see the poll question, you can push refresh on your web browser, and most of the time that will resolve any issue. And now it's time to kick off today's expert Q&A panel. The first question is for you, William. They say, I operate a medium-sized business and I'm looking to set up a disaster recovery system. Can you tell me what I should look out for when developing a disaster recovery plan?
So for medium-sized businesses, what we tend to look at is trying to understand what matters to your company. And a lot of people that are in charge of disaster recovery or in charge of data protection in general don't always understand what matters most to the business. So I think starting with a business assessment, a risk assessment to show what's important for your business and what an actual outage can mean to your business and its ability to continue to grow and thrive, that is the real cornerstone of developing a DR plan. From there, there's a ton of solutions available to be able to protect and replicate data as necessary, but it's usually the business understanding that trips up most people, and needing to understand that sometimes having telephones available are the most important thing and everything else can wait. Sometimes it's email. Sometimes it's a critical application. So it does vary heavily, but I recommend starting with that, kind of business assessment and risk assessment. Try to understand what it means for your business, and then we can work together and find a solution that fits.
Wise advice. Thank you, William. Let's see. Next question. They say that compliance is critical for their business, so they can't just store their backup and replica data anywhere. How do Veeam and Phoenix Snap address compliance concerns?
Phoenix Snap and Veeam have worked together to implement secure and compliant data protection and disaster recovery solutions. We're doing HIPAA, SOC 2, PCI, all the major compliance standards that people have to follow today. We're working to address those and ensure that you can leverage our service powered by Veeam to protect that compliant and security focused data. And we're investing more every single day in bringing more compliance standards to the list that we support. But you can reach out and talk to us about where we're at, and hopefully we have what your business needs.
Thanks, William. That compliance part is just so critical when it comes to data protection. Next question. Does Phoenix Snap offer support for testing and failover events? And if so, can you tell us what that covers exactly?
Yeah, so Phoenix Snap does offer the ability to test and perform test failovers of your data. So if you're replicating us and you're using a DR as a service SKU in our system, we actually give you one test failover per year and allow you to run for 7 days in our cloud service with your data and make sure that everything works as you expect it to work. So it doesn't cost you anything else. It's included with all of our subscriptions, and it's very helpful for businesses to understand that ahead of time so that they feel protected and they feel like they're going to have an actual successful DR failover if that day comes.
Thanks, William. Yeah, that testing part is just so critical. I think companies don't do that enough, is what statistics have told us. Next question now. Can I test Veeam backups and replication with my system? Do you offer any sort of free trial?
Phoenix Snap and Veeam have partnered together to give all of our prospects and people looking at the solutions the ability to do a free trial and proof of concept. So I can't stress this enough. We recommend that one of the first things you do is set up an account with us and start to try to bring your backups offsite or live replicate your data to the cloud service, do a test failover, pull data back from a cloud repo. All those implementation concepts, run through them, make sure they work for your business. And then if everything's successful, we can work together.
Thanks, William. That sounds like a great opportunity to try out Veeam in a free trial situation, see how it works and how it can help companies out there of all sizes with their DR challenges. I hope that you learned a lot on today's event. I really enjoyed this topic, especially on a data protection and disaster recovery primer. I hope that you enjoyed it as well and learned a lot. We'll be forwarding all the questions we didn't have time to answer back to today's expert presenters. Thank you, everyone, for your support. Have a great weekend. Stay safe. Bye-bye.